Well, going into the history of the territory just a little bit, I just did a feature on my Substack where I went back to 1945 and I documented a card from 1945 and a card from 1955 and 65 and 75 and 85 in Florida, and you could see the progression from Cowboy Luttrell to Eddie Graham when Eddie Graham got involved in the 60s, and then Eddie saw Jack Brisco and he made Jack his number one baby face in the late 60s and 69, I think, and campaigned for him to get the world title. And so it's interesting. Eddie spent so much time in Amarillo, which is where I really got to know a lot more about Eddie Graham when I was researching my Dory Funk book because, he was in his formative time there. But
Yeah.
he still worked in Florida in 1955 for Cowboy Luttrell, and they developed a relationship. And championship wrestling from Florida in the 60s was a whole lot like Amarillo wrestling, a whole lot. Um, and then as the Jack era came in, 69 to 75 or so, it really got into more technical wrestling. They put a lot more of the sport into it. That's when it really became more sports based and sports oriented. And then when Jack got the title and he's in and out of the territory, that's when Dusty turned in 74. And then that third period where Dusty's going to be the number one baby face, that's when you kind of come in to the picture into that transition, right?
Right. Right. And ah, it was a beautiful thing because it just changed so much. What you're talking right now is the segue into 1976, and I got to see the tail end of the old ways and the old ways that it was done. And I was looking at the just to give you an idea of some of the names at the beginning of 1975, and then I'm gonna contrast it. Not the names because the main events did not shift dramatically from 74, 75. It was Gary Hart's Army against Dusty Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
You had all your main events were Mongolian Stomper, Bob Roop, a lot of title matches, Harley Race, Jack Briscoe. Dusty was in and out.
Well, in
I feel like
74, Watts was the booker, and Bill Watts was in there under Eddie's direction, doing the booking and making the matches, and he was also the Florida champion. And then in early 75, he left to go back to Oklahoma, and the guy who had been brought into Georgia to be Watts' replacement in Georgia was Harley Race. And Harley Race came in to be the booker in 75. I just wanted to interject that.
yeah.